Futures now, old man.
What it do, Puka Nakua? This is the Future First podcast where we are helping you win today with a future first mindset. I'm your co-host J Mac here with my co-host Jose. What up, dude?
What's up, J-Mac? What a crazy Thursday night football game we just got done. Puka Nakua, hopefully he's on your team and you're not playing against him because he went crazy. The Rams somehow blew that game, and now, Sam Darnold-led Seahawks are about to be the one seed in the NFC. Crazy time to be alive.
Yeah, man, I am both playing against Puka Nakua and I have him on my squads. I have him on my Meg team and then in the another Dynasty team that I have. But then I'm going up against him in Toe Clan. So
Mhm.
that's not a great start there, but I do have JSN, so he at least got me, something tonight, which that last minute touchdown, I guess. And I know I'm supposed to be excited that the Seahawks won and that the Niners' fate is still in their own hands, but the Seahawks just beat the Rams, and the Rams have a good defense. The Niners do not. It's coming down to that Week 18 game, man, and we got to get past the Colts and the Bears first to even make that a possibility. So I don't know. I feel like I can feel this ice cold polar bear plunge already, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean it's a great time. The football's for NFL's sake is heating up. There's a lot of divisions. There's a lot of wide open as we've been talking about, kind of the entire NFL. So it's fun, man. It's going to be really exciting. You probably are going to have three teams from that division going to the playoffs. I would imagine, and it's going to be a good time. I mean, the Seahawks just seem to find a way to win. It's pretty wild. And the Rams are, a little, their defense is a little Jackal and Hyde. Like we saw
Mm.
what happened against Carolina, then we see what they do kind of to the Lions, even though the Lions still kind of put up a decent amount of points. So, I mean, they have a really good defense, but it doesn't seem like when they come up against some of these better offenses that they necessarily stand the test of time throughout the whole game. But, I mean, Stafford, I think, still the MVP. He played lights out. I mean, he pretty much did everything he could with Puka. We got the Puka game that I think everybody was, thinking. I saw a comment in one of my sleeper chats that was like, Puka had like okay quarterback numbers. I think he was like 12 for 19, 100 and something, two touchdowns. If you're playing with like 40-yard bonuses, he had like three or four
Oh, I
over
see what you're
40-yard.
saying. It's like
Like,
a quarterback stat line.
yeah, I mean, his points that he ended up like, and his stat line is like a mediocre quarterback play. Like it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
So I mean, like we talked about, like hopefully you had Puka or he's on the other side of the bracket or didn't have to. I only have one Puka share, and thankfully I didn't have to play against any of him anywhere. So my semifinal matchups are all kind of starting off pretty good on this side. But yeah, man, you ready to hit your usual.
Yeah, yeah, let's do it here. Like and subscribe on YouTube. You can touch down on the like button and go for two on that subscribe, like the Seahawks did. And you can leave us a comment if you want. We love engaging with you guys. Yeah, are you guys hurting with Puka? Are you feeling real high right now with that 12 for 225 and two touchdowns? Let us know in the comments. Shout out to Fox as always, who's been helping us with our graphics. You can follow her on X at bfoxworth07. Also on Spotify and Apple Pods, follow and rate the show. Drop a 5-star review. I realized that we had a comment recently on Spotify. I missed it 4 days ago. Shout out to Tally. Thanks for listening, bud. We appreciate you. He wants us to get some more of those breaking news and the interventions in here. He says he really likes those, and yeah, we want to do more of those. Those things kind of come up, I guess, organically, and we haven't had a lot of that. Maybe it's just because it's in season and stuff. But
I mean, shoot, I was practically dying a week ago. Like, I felt like I was dying. Not TMI here, but like passing a kidney stone, I literally thought I might be dying. Like it was the worst pain I've ever experienced. We could have had some breaking news on that
We could.
if we wanted. But yeah, I mean, one last thing about the game there. You know what? I actually just completely forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah,
So
no worries. I was gonna say we could have a whole breaking news channel on just Jose's health here.
yeah, apparently, man, jeez.
All right,
But
we got some buy sell holds on today's episode, but in a fun little theme, we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, as always, a quick hit, man. Are you ready?
let's go.
All right, for today's quick hit, we had a mailbag question come in from our own Fox. She dropped us a question saying, "Do we have confidence in Darren Waller now that Tua is bench?" No, right? Man, life comes at you fast. He gets the Bengals this week. The worst timing ever. Signed someone who has 85% Waller on my playoff teams, aka Fox.
Yeah, I
Go.
mean, Fox is like she lives her memes. Like she's all about Darren Waller, his music and stuff. But like she also hardcore like rostered him and played him, and she had like one time I think a 2 touchdown bet that paid off. She won a couple like
Yeah, it's not a
decent.
meme. It's
Yeah,
not a meme.
it's let your memes become dreams or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think most, if not all, um, Dolphins are kind of off the board for me. Obviously, it depends who's your who's your other option. Like, I mean, you
Mm,
probably can do worse than Waller off the waiver wire, but there's a decent amount of kind of tight ends out there. I mean, the problem with Waller is that he was kind of propped up a lot by touchdowns, and with Quinn Ewers is like, how many touchdowns are they really
mm.
going to score against Cincinnati? Sure, like the Bengals are horrible against tight ends. We talked about it, but I mean that's not always makes it that they're for sure going to, like last week all the Ravens tight ends, both of them were completely garbage. So with Q Ewers, like a later rookie quarterback pick, I'm not trying to play any Dolphins. I have to play Waddle in a few places, and I'm just completely scared that it's going to be the sort of like 2 for 17 type of line, and Waller could just completely goose egg. So I think it's also matchup dependent. Like if you're a favorite and you know you're going to get points anywhere, I'm probably turning to somebody else besides Waller to ensure I can get maybe like the 5 to 10 points from, Parkinson would have been a shout out. He did like, okay, like I would be much happier with a Parkinson stat line than like rolling out Waller out there. But there's plenty of guys, if you have to look at the waiver wire, I think you could definitely do better than Waller with Q Ewers.
Yeah, I was gonna pull up some rankings here and see who you playing him over. Are you playing him over Mark Andrews?
No. Oh, am
Mm,
I playing Waller over Andrews? No, I'm
yeah.
probably just going back to Andrews.
What about Theo Johnson?
No, I'm probably going Theo Johnson. I mean,
Yeah.
they're playing Commanders, who are pretty bad offense. I think the Giants are sorry, they're playing Minnesota, but either way, I think I'm going Theo Johnson.
Yeah, no, I think I'm with you. I don't really want to play Darren Waller. I have him in a couple places, and I had him locked in one place, a deeper league, but I think I'm gonna swap him out for somebody else there. That one I don't even need to play a tight end either. What about Schultz? Dalton Schultz. You playing him over Darren
Yeah,
Waller?
I mean, he's been pretty good recently. I mean, if CJ Stroud seems to go to him when he's not going to Nico. So yeah, I mean, I think you're talking about like, much worse like type of options that I want to play Waller over. Like, you probably most of those guys are on your waiver wire. So
Yeah.
in my situation, I don't think I'm really playing Waller in many situations.
Yeah, hopefully you foresaw the future and you put in AJ Barner in over Wallace.
Yeah.
Scored a big touchdown tonight. God, stupid AJ Barner. All right. Yeah, so Fox, yeah, hopefully you we're inspiring you confidence to bench Darren Waller. I know he's your man. Maybe just turn on his album and like listen to that for some comfort right now. I don't think he's gonna get you too many fantasy points this week with Quinn Ewers out there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, maybe make some like parlay bets that he scores, and then you can at least be happy you have some money in your pocket. But otherwise, yeah, it's I think it's gonna be rough for everybody besides maybe HN, and just based on volume for HN that you're gonna be happy with.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our next segment here. Hold 'em, fold 'em, or pushing the chips all in. All right, when you're at the poker table, the stakes are high, but you don't have to win every hand. There's a hard decisions you have to make every hand. Sometimes you push your chips, sometimes you stay patient, and other times you got to get out before the river burns you. Dynasty football is no different. We're talking buys, sells, and holds on today's segment. Hold 'em, fold 'em, or all in. And the way we kind of set this up today here is we have some references to poker hands, like what kind of hands you'd have in poker and how that relates to some of the dynasty players that we are considering for the hold'em, fold'em, or I guess buy, sell, or hold. So for our first set of category here, it's the high card hand, which are underperformers. They're weak right now, but you still got a good shot. A high card isn't winning anything today, but it's not dead either. It can improve with the right turn on the river. These players haven't produced, but the talent, role, or situation gives them outs. All right, man. For the first one here on the dock, we got Ashton Genty of the Las Vegas Raiders. He was one of the top drafted prospects coming into the season here. Unfortunately, he landed behind a bad offensive line, a bad offensive coordinator, a bad offense, period. We have him on one of our teams, and we are feeling how bad it truly is. Despite all that, he's shown some talent here. So, where are you with Ashton Genty? Are you holding? Are you folding? Or are you going all in on him?
Yeah, he's probably more of a hold. I don't think it's the time to sell is not now. Like you're looking at the worst time. It could be a potential buy opportunity. It's just how quickly do you think the Raiders can kind of turn that situation around, especially when you're looking at dynasty value, the life of the running back. Like what can you really expect to get out of him? So it's a murky water, but I think if you still believe in the talent being as high end as like the top, a top five dynasty running back, which seemed like coming out of college, people thought, if you still think that's possible, then he could definitely be, a guy to push your chips in, buy when low. I think right now, though, for the most part, I'm not really looking to acquire a lot of Ashton Genty. I'm mostly looking to hold the shares that I have and kind of just wait and see for next year. It's it's a it's not a franchise that inspires you to think that they're going to get that turned around very quickly, right? They need a quarterback, they need a lot of offensive line help, they need wide receiver help. Their defense is not great. Like they're hurting for a lot of positions. So you don't know which way they're going to go at the draft. You don't know how they're going to spend their money in the offseason. So it's definitely more of a kind of hold. If we were talking poker and we were playing not too high of a buy-in type of thing, I would maybe just put in enough to see the river, see how things go, right? Like this is a high card. I'm sitting on maybe not an ace, but it may be a king. And I'm kind of just waiting to see, what can I hit on the river? Can I pair? Can I, maybe get lucky, start a straight, a flush? Like what's going on? But that's if we're kind of sticking to our poker theme here, how I would be feeling.
Yeah, I think in general I'm with you, but honestly, like part of me just feels like it might be time to fold. Um, I think people are still kind of they see the shine on Ashton Genty, but like you said, man, they got a lot of holes to fill, and they don't have a quarterback. I mean, unless Geno is their future, they have holes in their offensive line all over the place. They don't even really have a wide receiver, unless you're counting on Jack Besh or Deontay Thornton. Like they shipped off Jacoby Myers, and really it's just Brock Bowers. And unless they plan on playing Michael Mayer more, like I haven't really like considered this like too much. And with Ashton Genty and this, you know, talent that he has, it does feel like a hold. But like you're saying, like when are the Raiders going to be relevant again? If we don't have, I mean, we have a good draft class coming up for offensive line and stuff like that, but it's not like they have a wealth of picks to kind of choose from here. So they really have to hit on those, you know, first couple picks and make a big difference for that to happen. So I don't think the out card is good here. You know, like if we're talking poker, you may have ace high, but you may be looking at, you know, like a four-legged straight on the board, and you don't have you don't have the card that makes that straight. So it may not be a good call. It's tough, but if I could get out of Genty for, you know, pretty decent value right now, like that might be the play. And honestly, that it's probably more a situation based on where your team is at too.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I'm just more of a hold just because I really think that his stock is taking quite a hit. That
Yeah.
it's hard to see that you'll get, you know, the return that you might have gotten, you know, a few months ago or when you were holding the 101. And I think, you know, he doesn't have to be amazing next year. He just has to, you know, the offense or the offensive line has to be marginally better. And he can, I think, show a lot more of his talent where if, you know, you're still scared about the organization, the quarterback play, or he's not fitting your maybe rebuild window. If you had the 101 to pick him and you're kind of not there in the next year or so, you could probably sell him and kind of recoup a lot more of that value.
So quick question then, like I don't know if this is even possible or if it would come up, but if you could re-roll and get the 2026 101 for Ashton Genty, and that's, you know, more than likely Jeremiah Love, which I don't know if you know a lot about, but he's the running back for Notre Dame. You know, the most highly touted prospect that we have coming out so far.
Um,
And if
to
it's
be
not
honest,
Jeremiah Love, it's just the 101. Like think about it
right.
as just 101 value.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be, you know, decent enough, but I don't feel like the hype for this class is there where what the 101 was being valued at last year. I think you'd still be losing value, but I think that would be a fair like way to kind of, you know, if you're kicking down the can down the road because you need to, you know, you're not ready to rebuild and you're kind of scared of what Genti is, then I wouldn't hate that, but I feel like that'd be hard to get the guy with the 101 to come off for Genti.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
But
it's probably they're probably not in a situation where they need the running back. So, all right, let's move out of that and let's get into this next one, which I don't want to talk about. But we've talked about him quite a bit here, and it is Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, you know, came in this year as what, wide receiver two in, you know, dynasty superflex drafts. Um, it's it'll be interesting to see where he's at next year. I imagine he's probably around that 4 to 5 mark wide receiver, you know, hanging around the back of the first or early second, something like that. So if you're sitting on an ace high, and you're looking at a flop of 2 7 jack, uh, where you at with Justin Jefferson? Are you folding, holding? Or are you pushing in?
I think I'm holding just from my personal experience here, like with how I've felt like Justin Jefferson's value has been pretty heavily tanked, and I think people are still scared, you know, of what the future holds. But I think the Vikings have a plan. I think JJ McCarthy's playing a little bit better. You saw a little bit. I mean, the chemistry still isn't there, but if JJ McCarthy's playing better, then the points will come Justin Jefferson's way eventually. Like they will get it figured out. So if JJ McCarthy can be usable. I also think that next season they're going to do something at the backup quarterback in case they need to pull the parachute and, you know, not lose another season. I mean, you can't waste another season of your prime defense, of your prime, you know, star wide receiver, and you know Kevin O'Connell could then find himself on the hot seat. So I think he's definitely with the front office going to find some sort of, you know, backup that's not somebody they're clamoring to start over, but somebody who's decent enough that could save the season if need be. So I'm definitely a hold. I view Jefferson definitely like a much higher like high card, and it may be something that where after the river you like you know you hit a low pair like you were talking about a 2 7 jack, maybe you had a ace deuce and you paired your, you know, your deuces. I'm definitely much like feel way more confident in Jefferson going forward. I do think when you said 4 or 5, I think you definitely could see a slip. I mean, for me, there's definitely two guys that this year are putting themselves as clearly supplanting some of the older heads at the wide receiver position. I mean, both of them just played tonight.
Yep.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think Chase still remains the 101 in terms of wide receivers, but I think Puka and Jason are right there behind him, and the CeeDee Lambs, the Justin Jeffersons, the Amon-Ra St. Browns are taking a step down. But I'm still willing to hold, right? Like, and to me, it's just so kind of we understand, like, holding is not like fans sitting like I'm scared to buy or I'm scared to sell. It's more so that I just think the market isn't in a good place to sell. So it could be a buy opportunity, but it's also, I feel like you're going to run into a manager like me where they're not willing to sell Jefferson at low. They want to continue to, get that sort of return that Jefferson demands. And I'm not willing to buy Jefferson at that price right now. So I'm
Hmm.
just holding wherever I have. I'm not actively looking to purchase him or sell him. So I'm kind of just okay. I think the market will bounce back if you want to think about it that way. Where if you wanted to get out of Jefferson because of his age or whatever, I think next year will be a better positive year, and you could sell him in season, like early next season, and get your kind of up there in the 3 first type of return. I mean, he's going to be older, but the shine I don't think has worn off Jefferson as a player. It's mostly all about the quarterback play. And as soon as JJ McCarthy can show a little bit more, maybe he ends this season showing what he kind of did against the Cowboys. You will see that trend of Jefferson, or that arrow of Jefferson, start to point in the positive direction.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm not gonna go into it anymore. We've beat a dead horse with Justin Jefferson through the season here. So I think the analogy here is that we're just gonna read the table and kind of know we're gonna go all in if we think someone's bluffing with our high card here, and try to steal this pot. So I mean, if the price is cheap, go get them. Otherwise, we're holding. Okay, all right. Let's get into someone we haven't talked a lot about, and we're talking about the Cardinals quarterback, Kyler Murray. He is injured. Yeah, I don't really know. I think with Kyler Murray in Superflex leagues, depending on where his price is, in this offseason, like he might be a buy target for me here because I mean, what if he goes to Minnesota, right? Or I mean, there's a ton of places that need a quarterback. What if he goes to Las Vegas? Like he could end up in a myriad of places, and I think if I can get him for like an early second or something like that in a super flex league, I'm probably gonna do that. And if I can get him just thrown in, if someone's just completely out on him, I think I'm buying. But it's definitely gonna depend on the price here. If people are still looking for a first plus for him, I'm probably not pulling the trigger on that price.
Yeah, I don't know who you play poker with. I don't know if you like normally go to a casino with. Like when I've played, with my father-in-law and some of my wife's family members, like they'll do a thing where they're like, "Nobody look at your cards. We're gonna bet this amount, and we're just playing it." Like, but I'm
We
doing
play the
that with
plan
Kyler
blind.
Murray. Yeah, we're playing everything blind. But I'm doing that, baby. I'm all in. I have to whisper because I'm kind of scared, but I'm all in. Yeah, I mean, based on having Kyler Murray in leagues and just how people talk about him, people are like, I had a conversation with a guy trying to trade him Kyler Murray for a different quarterback after he got hurt because I was still contending, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know if Kyler Murray plays football again," and I'm like,
Get out
"Brother,
of
like,
here.
but I mean, that's the sentiment. There's a really negative sentiment around Kyler Murray, even when he is playing in a starter. That now that he's not, he's been supplanted by Jacoby Brissett. They're probably going to cut him. He's going to go. I'm just going to gamble that he's going to get somewhere and be a starter and be able to have Kyler Murray type games in a super flex league where he's just my
Hmm.
quarterback too. And under no circumstance do I want to ride with Kyler Murray as my first quarterback in a super flex league. But if I have a stud or a very secure QB1, an Allen, a Lamar, a Burrow, like one of these, kind of pillars, a Drake May now, those sorts of guys. I would love to have Kyler Murray as a QB2 because he offers you the high end elite QB1 upside. He can have those seasons he has, and his floor is not bottom out Geno Smith type of level of play, right? Like for the most part, with his rushing, he's able to give you a safe enough floor
Yeah.
that if the sentiment that I've been feeling out there about Kyler Murray is true, I'm definitely all in Superflex to go get him as my quarterback too. I mean, he's young. He's gonna if Justin Fields can bounce around and find three teams that want to start him after he was wherever he was drafted. Kyler Murray, who has proven to be a decent NFL quarterback who can actually throw the ball no matter his stature, he will find a job. He will find multiple jobs probably if he could just demonstrate enough to keep his head in football. I feel like he will have at least another 3 to 5 years as an NFL starter. I mean, things would have to go completely off the rails, and at that point, I don't think you're spending a lot to buy into him. So you're probably not burning too much, right? And if he returns to quarterback 15 on the year, and you are paying prices of a guy that people think is going to be out of the league or is, outside of the top 20 quarterbacks in the league, then you're making out in a great way. So,
Yeah, I just cruised over to Dynasty Daddy real quick to see if we could find some trades with Kyler Murray in it, and there's not a lot of trades for Kyler Murray over, I guess, this past month or so. So yeah, I was really interested in kind of where he'll land in this offseason. Like in my head, he'll probably be like a mid to low end QB2. Like that's especially if we end free agency and Kyler Murray doesn't have a home yet, right? Like I really think that he could just be like QB 18, where people are just taking the shot on him over guys like Tyler Shuck or Geno Smith or something like that. Like, and yeah, at that price, like I'm definitely in because I think like you are sending a second to get him in your squad, and I am confident that he'll end up on someone's team, and if not, like maybe the Cardinals just roll him back out there and take another shot, and there's a coaching change and things get better looking up that way. So I'm with you, man. I think I'm pushing my chips in on him. Just nobody look at their cards.
yeah, I mean, like, for example, I mean, this might be a bit risky with how well Stafford is playing, but like, I kind of would love to send Stafford
Oh,
for Kyler Murray, like one of these older guys, like that. Like if Jacoby Brissett is named the starter, I don't know if you could flip for Brissett for Kyler, but maybe some sort of one of these guys that is older. Like you flip them, like how much more on top of Jared Goff could you get for Kyler Murray? Like if you're sending away Jared Goff for Kyler Murray, how much? Like
mm-hmm.
I feel like you're getting Kyler plus in that situation. And I feel like
Yeah.
those are the type of moves where we know what Jared Goff is. He's definitely steady. He's definitely fine as a QB2. But I think I would much rather have Kyler in the plus. Obviously, depending on the plus. But those are the kind of type of moves I would look to be, doing with my quarterback room in a super flex league.
No, I love it. All right, let's keep this moving here. We're about half an hour in. I want to make sure we get into these other guys here. So let's do AJ Brown as the next one. Another guy we've kind of talked a lot about here. So maybe we keep this one brief because I think I know where we're gonna land here. But why don't you go ahead and lead off on AJ Brown, man?
Yeah, man, this is like a 3-9 dealt hand and not suited. Like I'm good, man. Hopefully, I didn't just burn my blind and I can just quickly fold and keep the action moving. I'm good on AJ Brown. He kind of has a little late resurgence, but I think the wheels are coming off quick. I don't really trust Jalen Hurts as a regular passer all the time to put up those numbers to feed him. And I think maybe the Eagles even move away, and I think that would probably be worse for AJ Brown's career unless he landed in some sort of perfect spot. But otherwise, I'm pretty good to sell, and I have pretty much folded or sold off all my shares of AJ Brown.
Yeah, the only thing that would like change my mind here is there's already rumors, like season hasn't even ended. There's rumors flying that he might get traded. And I think if we see him get used heavily down the stretch here, I'm kind of gonna buy into that rumor even more so because they're gonna they're trying to market what they have. So I think in general, I'm folding. Like I don't want to hold AJ Brown into this offseason, especially coming off that season that he just had. He's going to be 28 next year. It's not going to be a good narrative for him coming into the offseason next year. But hey, and maybe when we get to that, beginning of next season, maybe there's a buy opportunity because of everything that we had. And even if you don't sell low on him, because I think that the window will open back up on him coming out of if he does get traded, or if there's going to be people who believe in AJ Brown. He's that good of a talent. Okay, another guy who's underperforming, and man, this one just hurts because I love the player, but it's Breece Hall with the New York Jets. Again, another guy we've kind of beat to death here. I think he's a hold. I don't really see us buying into him. This just hurts. Like, why are the Jets hurting us? Like, I'm not even a fan of the Jets. I shouldn't be hurt by the Jets right now, but I am, because they didn't free 20, and here we are sitting with our hands, twiddling our thumbs, waiting to see what Breece's fate is for the rest of his career, which is hopefully longer than a few years.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's pretty much just a hold. I know we got quite a few long lists of names, so these last couple ones we can kind of shoot past. But yeah,
Yeah.
for me, same. Pretty much, you said everything. He's a hold for me as well.
All right, let's close out those high card underperformers, and let's get into our next category of players here, which are the flush straight draws. These are volatile and incomplete, but dangerous. A flush draw or straight draw can feel amazing or awful depending on timing. Massive upside, but no guarantees. We're talking about players who have had something change for them this season that brought them into fantasy relevance, or sometimes out of fantasy relevance. We're talking about a tale of two seasons here. And I think, I don't know about you, but the first guy that comes to mind for me is Jameson Williams. Started out ice cold. Everyone didn't know what to do with him. And then we had that coordinator change where Dan Campbell took over play calling, and Jameson Williams is surging like a madman right now. I think he's wide receiver 7 on the year, even after that dud of a season. So where are you at with Jameson Williams here, man? You're sitting on, let's say, like a Jack Queen suited, I feel like, is what Jameson Williams is.
Yeah, I mean, I think you are feeling like kind of I've like you've always felt about Jameson Williams. I feel like it's like you hope that this can continue, right? You thought the breakout was coming. They paid him the money. I think something to pay attention to though is he kind of started blowing up and has shown this kind of consistency since Sam Laporta got hurt. It was also around the time that the coordinator change happened. So there's two kind of things that changed there. So I don't know, man. It's one of those things that is maybe just too much in my poker brain, but I feel like I've gotten burned so many times chasing straights, and I feel like Jameson Williams is one of those that I don't think if he finishes as like the top wide receiver 7, I think that's probably the best he ever finishes in his career. Like I just don't see him consistent enough to do much better than that. So I would be perfectly fine selling off or folding in this case and looking, to acquire a different piece. Somebody maybe has fallen in love with Jameson Williams. They think, these 20-point games is the hot streak he's on. They've forgotten about the cold streak, like you said at the beginning of the season. So I think I'm out. I think I'm looking to fold it away. I'm not liking how the rest of the guys at the table or girls are, betting right now. They're kind of pushing me off my straight or flush here. So I think I'm going to be folding.
I raise. Let's all in, baby. See, and here's the reason, because like the guy across the table from me, he's got to tell, and I can see it's Dan Campbell, and he is really excited for Jameson Williams, and if he keeps taking over play calling, like I don't care about Sam Laporta, like I want Jameson Williams on my teams. I think wide receiver 7 is crazy, and I just, I've been all in on Jameson Williams, and I mean, I was quoted on this podcast earlier in the year saying ASRB was going to be taking a step back because Jameson Williams was going to be taking a leap forward. That hasn't necessarily planned out that way, but Jameson Williams is that guy, and I think I'm trying to get him on my teams at whatever cost. If someone's trying to sell low on this, like put him on my squad. I'm happy. I'm happy to put him into a flex spot there. All right, man. Let's get into this next guy. Another tale of two seasons. Started out the season really hot. Roma Dunze. Let's say we had a what is a Roma Dunze hand here? Is he like a you have a queen queen seven? No, let's say 9-10. 9-10
Yeah, that's
off
exactly what I was thinking.
9-10 offsuit, right? Because he doesn't really give you that flush draw here. Um, yeah, where are you
Yeah, I
at with
mean, I,
Rome?
I was actually going to say 9-10 suited. To me, I mean, we've talked about Roma quite a bit. I'm still pretty in on the talent. I think injuries have kind of derailed this end of this season. But, I think you saw what he could be at the beginning. I just think it's not worked out for him at the end of the season. I think a lot of people might be upset or, down on him. So I'm going all in. I mean, this is a player I believe in, and we've talked about quite a bit. So, not to beat the dead horse like we've done before. So I'm going all in. I feel like, it's going to get better. It's going to continue to develop with Caleb Williams, and he's kind of the wide receiver. He's the guy I want in that offense.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you. I call all in. Let's go. No, I want Rome. I think DJ Moore fades out here. Rome's only growing with Caleb Williams. That offense is, finding their feet with Ben Johnson as the head coach there. I like it. I want some more of it. The next guy here, Jacoby Myers, and this one's interesting. We haven't really talked about this yet, but he broke a 3-year extension with the Jags today, which muddies that entire wide receiver room because now we have Jacoby Myers, Travis Hunter, and Brian Thomas Jr. all sitting in the same room, and then Brenton Strange is looking at them from across the table also. So the tale of two seasons here, I guess, is that he, was on the Raiders, and the Raiders pretty much wanted to, fold him, toss him aside, and he's like, trade me, trade me, trade me. He finally got dealt to the Jags here, and honestly, it took a little bit for him to get going, but he's doing pretty well. Do you see that role continuing enough to where you want to buy into him, or are you holding, folding on these high production?
Yeah, I'm folding and just trying to get as much as I can out of him. I don't think that he's the guy that's going to stand out once everybody's healthy. I
Mm.
definitely hated to see that. Like, as a guy that's been buying into Brian Thomas Jr., I really hated to see that just because the more mouths to feed. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is on the career path to be able to, do what Jared Goff has done, which is like support, two elite wide receiver options. And, what is Travis Hunter when he comes back after this knee injury? Maybe the only thing I could think of is this is signaling that the coaching staff is thinking, we want to roll with what we have now: Parker Washington, Myers, and Brian Thomas Jr. and Hunter's going to DB. I don't know. Otherwise, it's like I feel like the Jags just did this like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. They blew a bunch of money in free agency. Brought in, who was it? Christian
Christian
Kirk
Kirk.
and Gabe Davis and somebody else. And it just didn't work. And then they had to cut Gabe Davis, lost a bunch of money. I don't really understand it, but the Jags are just kind of one of those organizations that does perplexing things. So I'm definitely trying to sell off this kind of hype, trying to sell off these good games. I think it's definitely a guy that maybe you, as a rebuilder, somehow kind of stayed on your team, and maybe now, if your trade deadline is not, you don't have a deadline, he's definitely a guy I'm trying to sell off to somebody now. Or if as soon as the trade deadline opens and the Jags make a good run, they make the playoffs, Jacoby Meyer continue to look good, he's the guy I'm trying to sell early in the offseason because once we get news, camp hype videos of Brian Thomas Jr., camp hype videos of Travis Hunter, Jacoby Myers, stock is just going to, it's going to go down. But before that part of the offseason, I definitely would want to be folding and trying to cash in my chips. I'm taking my ticket. I'm like, you guys, this table's kind of beating me up. I'm taking my ticket to the to the cashier and cashing out my wins now, and taking the little money I've won and going home when it comes
Yeah.
to Jacoby Myers.
What do you want for Jacoby? Third? Is that enough?
No, I was probably thinking a second just because of the production, but maybe you make it two-thirds. Maybe you make it, he's a throw-in to get me a better pick. He's kind of feels like if your rookie draft is somewhat early, because it's kind of counter to what I just said. But if you have like an earlier rookie draft before like the mini camps or the training camp hype, and you can use him as a toss-up to move in from like the end of the second to maybe an early first, or like the back of the second to like the beginning of the second, and do some sort of finagling like that. He seems like a perfect kind of throw in juicy type of piece.
Yeah, man. I haven't had time to like fully process this yet and what it all means, but I have a lot of questions. Like, are they planning on trading someone? Is it Brian Thomas Jr.? Because I mean, Parker Washington has looked, okay, that good enough for a wide receiver three if we're calling Travis Hunter the wide receiver two, or like you said, maybe Travis Hunter takes a step back in the offensive side of things, and Jacoby Myers kind of fills the shoes that are missing in that sense. So I don't know. I think I'm with you just in general. Like I'm not really high on Myers, Jacoby Myers. He's kind of, like the fantasy vegetables. He gets it done, but he's not appetizing by any means. So, yeah. I think I'll just hold just for because I have questions and I want to process this a little bit more and kind of figure out what's going on. But all right, let's get into somebody a little bit more exciting. We're talking about rookie tight end for the Los Angeles Chargers, Oronde Gadsden. He has definitely been a tale of two seasons here. He started off non-existent, not even involved in the offense, and then slowly got ramped up, and then very heavily used for a short burst, and then kind of died off again, and now has had a little bit more consistent of a role, but hasn't really flashed like he did back in, what was that, week 7, week 8, something like that. So where are you at with Aronde Gaston here? Is this someone you're buying into, or are you trying to sell on the hype if someone's giving you a first for him?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm headed. I mean, not to mix too many analogies. I know we're going with the poker theme here, but this, based on the season, this feels like the toy your kid gets at Christmas that they're like super excited about for 2 days, and then they never play with it again after that. Like, before the new year has rang, that toy is forgotten, it's broken, or it's somewhere else. The dog's chewing it. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel like around the Gatson. I feel like going into next year, the pieces are multiple, and I don't know if Gadsden is the guy that's going to stand out in a crowded wide receiver slash just pass catching room, right? We expect Hampton to continue to develop more. They drafted several rookies who have been kind of just sitting behind Keenan. You have QJ who's there for the future at least, and Lad McConkey. You hope that the passing offense will look kind of more like it did in the beginning before the entire Chargers O-line was decimated by injuries. So I'm definitely trying to sell off the hype. Like, I don't know if I was ever really in on Gadsden, like in that sort of way. So if I can sell and people are still kind of in on him, then I'm okay to move on and get something out of him before he kind of maybe goes back to irrelevancy fully.
Yeah, so we're in year 3 of Quentin Johnston's contract, and he's a first rounder, so they could, exercise the option to keep him around through 2027. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like the Flash was just so good, and for a rookie and a tight end, also at that, like a rookie tight end at that, like I feel like the move here is to sell high. If someone wants to give me a first for him, I'm doing that, and then I'm gonna wait for the market to kind of cool on him, and then I'll probably want to buy back into him if that's possible. I think that's probably my play here, but I'm gonna hold him. If I have him, unless someone gives me like a first for him, I'm holding. I don't really want to move off of him for less than that.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think you're going to be holding them for a while, because I just don't see anybody giving you a first. I think if you were tight end shopping, there's much more secure assets you could buy, like even like Harold Fanning, who's breaking out. I think you get for a first or in that sort of level. But I think he's also, if the hype is there, he's a great guy to maybe try to use to tier up into a more guy you feel safe about, or a guy you have more confidence in. But yeah, he's definitely a guy. I mean, if I had a round to guess and somebody wanted to offer me a first, I'd be over the moon for him. But yeah, I mean, said our piece there. I mean, we can move on to talk about his teammate, right?
Yeah, let's talk about his teammate because I think this is part of the tale of two seasons here. Is Justin Herbert started off red hot here with the season, and as the offensive line crumbled, so did Justin Herbert's production. He is not only not helping you win games, he's actively hurting you in your matchups here at the end of the season. It's not good. The rushing upside has also deteriorated from what we saw in the beginning of the year. He was running quite a bit with his legs, and it's just it's just not right now. And you're seeing it too. I mean, there's nobody involved. There's no Ladd, there's no QJ, there's no Keenan Allen, there's no Rondé Gaston. Like everyone in that offense is struggling, and yet they're still winning. I don't know what's happening there, but I mean, Chargers have a winning recipe, and they're getting it done. So with Justin Herbert in general, like I still want to buy into him, especially as that offensive line gets healthy. I want stock in Justin Herbert. I think that's a wise decision if you can get into him at what market value is keeping him at. I just don't know where he's going to end up this year. Like to me in my head, if he ends up as like QB 10, QB 11, like I think that's probably where I'll want to try to buy into him at. But if he creeps up into like 7 or 8, like I think some people might be putting him at, that might be a little bit too rich for my blood.
Yeah, in terms of like what he's done over the last like more than a month, like he hasn't thrown for 250 yards once. He's thrown for 2 touchdowns only once. Like I was in, right? We talked about Justin Herbert towards the beginning of the season as potentially an MVP candidate. He was, it was looking very good. And obviously the offensive line injuries are important, but those also weren't like small offensive line injuries. Like one of the injuries that the offensive line, I can't remember if it was Slater or if it was Joe Alt, like they were talking about like players sometimes never return to form be based on their injury. I can't remember what it was. I remember looking at it and I was reading about it from a doctor talking about it. Like it was a very serious knee injury. So there's no guarantee that like these offensive linemen are going to go back to where they are. And I think I'm just kind of done. Like I think I've seen enough of Justin Herbert in his career. Like if it's not perfect around him, he can't be elite. Like he has the arm, he has the capability to be elite. Like he has that in him. But if it's not perfect around him, it just doesn't seem like he
Mm,
can overcome that adversity, right? Like we've seen Mahomes behind trash O lines, we've seen Lamar, we saw Burrow when he had his great season, getting sacked 20 times. Like I mean, obviously, like he also gets hurt, right? He's playing with a broken hand or a broken something in his
yeah.
a non-throwing hand, right? So he's also like gets injured because of this poor O-line play. So I'm okay to just move off Justin. He's more of a hold because I feel like you need to have the Justin Herbert truther in your league, right? Or the Charger fan in your league to really sell him. Otherwise, he's kind of just, I think most people have that kind of like, yeah, he's all right. He's the type of quarterback, like, honestly, from another quarterback you talked to, like, how much more could you get for on top of Kyler Murray to trade away Justin Jefferson? I feel like you could get a lot. And I feel like that other piece that what a first and a second maybe like Kyler Murray's value is so low that
It's crazy.
right? Like what can you do with those pieces and how much big of a difference is there between Kyler and Justin Herbert? And I think that's one of those like real life NFL things bias that actually seeps into fantasy football where everybody's like, yeah, but Justin Herbert, he's kind of hot and like he plays for the Chargers. He's got hair, like he's dating that like supermodel, and like Kyler's like a tiny dude that plays Call of Duty. He's a nerd. Like it sounds dumb, but I swear, like I feel like that actually
It's-
permeates, and people actually have those thoughts about these players, especially when you're comparing these two players specifically. That like I don't know, to be my QB2, like, I don't want Justin Herbert as my QB1 in a super flex. I don't want Justin Herbert in a single quarterback league. So if he's my QB2, I'd rather have Kyler Murray as my quarterback 2 and just get whatever plus I can on top of him and build out my wide receiver room, build out my running back room. Like, like who has Kyler? Like, if you have Kyler Murray, or sorry, you're trading away Jefferson to the Kyler Murray owner, can you get like a difference maker tight end maybe on top, or like what can you do? Like, how can you finagle a big trade and trade away Justin Herbert? Because I just feel like, is there a magical season in him like he had it his rookie year where he could finish top 5, top 3 quarterback? There definitely is. Is there a world where that happens 3, 4 times in the rest of his career? I don't know, man. I feel like it's not that likely. I feel like you're always gonna be waiting, and unless
Mm.
they have the magical season where nobody gets hurt, everybody's good, he doesn't get hurt, you're just not gonna get it. And I feel like the name value, the name brand of Justin Herbert, and what he's actually good at as an NFL player that doesn't translate to the fantasy world can get you a lot. So I'd
This
definitely be folding, selling, sorry.
No, you're good. Like this just reminds me a lot of like the argument for Joe Burrow a couple years ago. I mean, honestly, like what's the difference between Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow? I think people would probably prefer Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert, but when you really break it down, like they're not all that different. Um, and to me, like I said, like it depends on where Justin Herbert's value is at. Like right now, I'm looking at fantasy calc. He's QB7. I don't want him at that price. If I could get him at like QB10, QB11, that's where I'm buying in. And I'm hoping everything goes right for one season and he rockets up to QB4 like Joe Burrow has, this past year. And then I'm at that point, that's when I'm using Joe Burrow to get into those guys like Drake May, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, that type of thing. He's my stepping stone into those guys. But that's the only reason I'm really wanting to buy into him is because, like you said, like everything has to be perfect, but that season's coming. That season's coming. It hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen. Regression will hit, especially because that team is just so good. But yeah, man, no, you make a good argument, and you definitely have me, rethinking it right there at QB7. Like, it all depends on value, on what you're getting back. But I like what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest difference with Joe Burrow is the moment Joe Burrow plays like more than 10 games or plays, the most of the games, he's like a top 8 quarterback pretty much without a doubt. Like, and I think Justin Herbert, even years where he has played that many games, he hasn't wow. He hasn't cracked the top 10 in scoring or as a fantasy quarterback since 2021. You're talking about his second year in the league. So I think that's just a big difference. But yeah, I mean, if people still have that, quarterback 7 on Justin Herbert, I'd love to use him to get into any of the guys around him, like whoever is around him. I'm sure Drake May has to be around there, Joe Burrow, especially after getting hurt. Jaden Daniels went now that he's hurt. Like, I would love to
Mm,
use Justin Herbert. If we were talking about tearing down to Kyler Murray, I would also love to use Justin Herbert as a stepping up and tier up, especially if people are still feeling he's a top 8, top 9 sort of dynasty quarterback.
yeah, and yeah, it's wise words there. I think that might be worth diving into a little bit more later. I think there's a lot of rich discussion we could get into there. But let's move on here to our third category of players, which is going to be a two pair or a trips. They look strong, but they're likely not going to improve. A two pair or trips feels really great, but you always have that straight draw or flush draw that you're worried about that can top these guys out pretty easily, and they lose the better hands on the board as the board develops. These players are overproducing. They're smashing right now, but their value may be at or near their peak with limited future growth. And the first guy we have on this list here is Tyler Shuck, the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people in on Tyler Shuck right now, and people are thinking he's going to keep the job. And yeah, maybe he does. I don't know. And if he does keep the job, where's his value going to land going into next year? It's a really good question right now. Like, I drafted a lot of Tyler Shuck going into the season, and I ended up like trying to ditch those shares as quick as I could. For I think I got like thirds back from him. I was pretty much re-rolling what I bought into him for. I don't know. Maybe that was a mistake, but like honestly, like right now, like are people really giving you a second for Tyler Shuck?
I went shopping for a quarterback in a super flex league, where I lost pretty much everybody as my second. That was my second quarterback, and the response I got was a little bit um, heftier than that. To be honest, it was like a couple seconds. Honestly,
Wow.
and there's a couple guys on this list who I'm just like, maybe it's getting towards the end of the night, or I don't have a lot of chips left, and I hit a pocket fours or something. I'm just like, let's go. I'm all in. Like, let's. I don't have a ton of bankroll left. Like, it's been a fun night. We've had a good time. Like, if it ends here, it ends here. I'm not burning too much. As always, guys, gamble responsibly. Don't gamble anything you're not willing to lose. Maybe that should be at the beginning of the
I'll lose a Tyler
episode.
Shuck. I don't I don't mind a
Yeah.
Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think it's going to take a lot. So I'm definitely trying to buy in because, obviously there's only super flexing in dynasty, but if he can hold the job, like he's a great
Yeah.
third quarterback. And a guy that can fill in with injuries. He was just like a good glue piece for a quarterback room, and I don't think it's going to cost a lot. And if the draft comes by and then the camp comes by and he is named the starter, that price is going to go up quite a bit just simply by the name of the game that he's a starting NFL quarterback who's looked decent. So I'm trying to go all in now. I'm trying to, like pocket fours, and I'm hoping the four is coming on the river. So like let me push it in now, like push the chips in now, and try to hope that I hit the nuts or hit the quads even, maybe, who knows. I don't think Shuck's got that in him, but if he's a solid NFL starter quarterback too for the rest of
Yeah.
his career, those guys are important in super flex leagues too.
Yeah. I need to go back and watch some tape on this kid. Or sorry, he's a man. He's not even a
Yeah,
kid.
he's almost as old as Justin Herbert, if you can believe that. He's 26 years old. So, yeah, kind of wild. I mean, it's going to be a short time, not a long time, but, maybe hopefully it's a fun time.
I need to form some opinions here on what I think of this guy because if he is a starter next year, like in my head, I already have it that he's not going to keep that role. Like I don't see him getting an extension, right? He's just a bridge quarterback. Just I wanted to say young one, but he's he's just a non-veteran bridge quarterback, right? Until I feel like the Saints can get into something more stable. Um, but yeah, I need to go back and watch some tape. So I don't know. For now, I'm folding. I'm trying to get out of Tyler Shuck. I don't have any Tyler Shuck, so I can't. There's nothing that I could really do right now. But if someone wants to go give me a second or more than a second for him, I think I'm just gonna cash out at that price. I don't think it's gonna get much higher. I'm just gonna take my money and walk on my two pairs here. All right,
Yeah.
another guy. Oh, you got one more thing?
No, no, go ahead. We're good.
Okay, another guy here who another rookie, Houston Texans running back Woody Marks. He's kind of just been given the job out of necessity. Joe Mixon still nowhere to be found. Nick Chubb is hurt, and Woody Marks has just stepped up and honestly like run away with it. He's been playing really well behind a bad offensive line too. So where are you at with Woody Marks? Are you buying in on him?
Yeah, I think he's just another one of those guys. Same sort of concept. Like, I don't think it's going to take ton. Like, he hasn't shown out and been super amazing. I think if people are just like box score hunting, his games haven't looked very impressive. I mean, last couple games he was over 10 fantasy points in half PPR, but all the other ones he wasn't. I mean, Chubb was still kind of relatively around. His yards per carry is not particularly impressive. So he's not a guy that's been super impressive, but I think he could be a guy that we're a little surprised next year where he, draft comes by. They have a lot of needs
Yeah,
other places, and they didn't go. Once they knew Mixon was, pretty much toast. I think they've known that for, probably the whole time. They didn't go out there and sign anybody. They weren't, panicking. They weren't like, we need to go get a guy. They signed Nick Chubb, who's, a small, tiny contract, like nothing. I think they felt good about Woody Marks. They drafted him. Something about him, like maybe just kind of feels like it fits with D'Amico Ryans out there and their kind of culture. He seems like that type of guy. So in terms of like running back depth, if you're a contender, I think this should just mention this for Shuck too. Like, especially if you're a contender, if you're a rebuilder, like you said, Shuck's too old. Woody Marks is too late of a round pick that he might be gone in after a year or two. But I think for next year specifically, if you're looking at this kind of in a shorter window, I'm definitely into buy. I think it's not going to cost you very much, and it's definitely a flyer where all of a sudden you just end up with a starting running back who can be a good depth piece, or flex if the offense could find something, if the offense could get it going, if the offensive line could get better. Lots of questions, but the amount of what it's going to take, right, to see the river. Somebody raised and they barely, they did like half the, like 10% of the pot. It's such a small. They limped in that I'm okay, calling and maybe even pushing all in and seeing really what can I get with Woody Marks.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm struggling with this one because it's like this kind of profile in general. Like I usually get out of, like Tyrone Tracy last year. Like I hit on that. I'm selling. I'm getting out. But man, it's like when you look and think about like the guys like Chase Brown and Isaiah Pacheco, like this kind of feels more like those guys than it does like a Tyrone Tracy to me. But I'm not worried about them drafting a new running back. I am worried about them bringing in a free agent though, which would make things a lot worse for them. There's a lot of free agents coming out there, which we're going to get into in a later episode here in the off season. But yeah, I think I'm selling. I'm just gonna fold my pocket twos here and move on. All right, let's bundle these next guys together here since we're running a little late on time. But Alec Pierce and Michael Wilson, both guys that were drafted pretty late and have been pretty clutch for you in this fantasy season. So I think if I know you, you're gonna say you're folding these guys and getting what you can for them.
Yes, you are my co-host for a reason. You got that right. Yeah, I'm not. They're great, and they're the type of guys that can help you win the championship this year. There's so much up in the air. There's just, if you could get something, if they're for whatever leftovers on your rebuilding team, and you can trade them off now. Is the type of players that they might not have value like this ever again. Like, can Michael Wilson carve out a role with MSJ there and with Brissett? And maybe you sell and you miss out, but it's also not like you're missing out on like the next Jamar Chase, even though the jokes are around. But like at some point, Marvin Harrison is going to come back and he is going to take targets. McBride is the focal point of that offense. So yeah, and Alec Pierce is with Daniel Jones, he was thriving, but he's not anything more than a guy that just runs a lot and gets his cardio in.
Okay, cool. All right, Harold Fannin, buy or sell?
Buy.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. What are we doing with Daniel Jones?
No, just no.
If you have him, are you holding?
Yeah, I don't know what else you could do. Like an Achilles injury. Like, do they? Did they pay him? They didn't, right?
No.
So like they could just cut him. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that would be doing them dirty. I don't know who they would play, but they're probably playing
Phillip Rivers. Duh.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably playing part of the season next year with somebody else. I mean,
Anthony Richardson.
He just got his 21-day practice window opened up. But yeah, man, it sucks because he seems like a good guy. I mean, you don't feel too bad for a guy that's made tens of millions of dollars. Like, I mean, he's going to be fine, but it does suck that he was kind of seeing a career resurgence and then has a brutal injury. But I feel like you just have to hold and hope that he gets extended and he stays there with the Colts because it seemed to fit. If it fit him, the scheme, the quarter, everything. So I think you hold and hope for the best.
Okay. Yeah, if it gets low enough, I think I'm just gonna buy. Be like, ooh, a shiny nickel. hope for the best in the next season here. All right, let's get into the outro here. Another great episode in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. If you guys have any underperformers or overproducers, tale of two seasons that you guys have in mind that you're buying, selling, or going all in on, drop us a comment. Let us know. If you disagree with any of our picks, drop us a comment. Let us know. We want to hear from you guys. Let's see what you guys think. Yeah, drop us some questions. If you want to see anything on here, let us know. Drop a comment. But other than that, guys, it's Friday. I'm tired. It's week 16. Go get those dubs.
Yep, as always, guys, like, follow, subscribe. Future First Pod on YouTube. Have a good weekend, guys. Hope you guys get some dubs.